Hi there, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I have a flip through of a journal that I recently completed, The Practical Bookkeeper. This beautiful book was published in 1884, and I was able to find out who the original owner was. And he lived right here in the town where I live, which explains why I found it in my local thrift store. And he obviously went to business college. We'll see that when we get inside. And ran a store here in town for all of his business life. So it's such a pretty book. If you see on the cover, there's really beautiful embossing on it, front and back. Now you'll see here, this book was obviously well used. There's spilled ink on it, which I love. There's a little bit of, damage, more ink. The book cloth was trying to start coming off, so I stitched around the edges. The spine needed a little bit of help, little support, little work to make it stable and sturdy again. And since it really didn't have anything pretty on the spine, I decided to put something pretty on it. So let's measure it. We'll take a look, see how big it is. So it's about 6.5 by 10. And then it is about one inch. 1 inch thick spine. I put 5 signatures into it, and I wrote down how many pages. Hold on. There's approximately 160 pages of varying sizes in this beautiful little book. I went a little bit nuts. I must say, it kind of reminds me of a thinner version of Mr. Snooks. If you've been watching me that long, you remember Mr. Snooks. And I kind of had a little bit of fun with it being an accounting book, but also maybe being, his wife took over the book and turned it into her own book, or maybe a daughter did, or who knows? You never know the story behind. I like to imagine or daydream that why certain books turned into the scrapbooky, wonderful junk journal-y books that those of us, if you're watching this, you obviously are drawn to this kind of book the way I am. So again, as I mentioned, stitching along the front as well to hold down the cover, but I didn't want to put metal corners on it. I love when there's that certain patina where it's allowed to show off its beautiful age. It's 100 from 1884. It's oh my goodness, what, 130 years old? I can't math. 140 years old? I don't know. Anyhow, I tried to save the important pages. A lot of math pages in this book, but I also tried to not make it too masculine. Even though it was Harry's book, I imagine that perhaps maybe, although I know Harry was indeed a man, maybe Harry was Harriet, or maybe Harry married a woman named Harriet. I actually have a friend whose parents were Gerald and Geraldine. So that can happen. And so I had fun. It's one of the few times where the fabric that I use to sew in the new text block, I put it on the outside, and I actually saved the original end pages because I loved his handwriting. Harry Rice, BAB College, Toronto. Now, I live in a little town outside of Toronto, so he obviously must have lived in Toronto and took this course. This is from 1888, but underneath in here, it got torn. In taking out the old text block, the mull tore off part of the end papers, which is why I had to make the fabric as long as I did, because it was just ripped right off. It said 1889, and I believe on the back it had said, underneath here, it had very, very faintly said 1884. So he was obviously going back and forth into Toronto to take his courses, to do the book, to learn how to do the bookkeeping, to help to run his father's business, which is true. It's historically correct. I like to look through the Canadian censuses and the business directories for our town, and try and find if I can find the people who owned these books. And sure enough, there was Harry, and it makes it really, really personal then. Here at the bottom, I wanted to have fun with some collaging since it's so plain with the creamy color. I wanted to leave this one. This one did not get damaged, his signature and the years that he was at school. And so I counted on that one to be the one to be beautiful. And this one, you can still see it. And if you lift up these little tuck spots, it's still there. But like I said, this part got torn. I was sort of channeling my little inner Kelly Bowler here, and instead of, this is actually a picture out of the biography of Beatrix Potter, and down here, that's actually Beatrix Potter. So she's going out for a boat ride with someone. I forget who, even though I've read the book. And then I wanted also to have a tuck spot. It's handy having a tuck spot in the front of a book. So I put these two, sort of collaged them together and put them in. I dug out a lot of my Tim Holtz that I've been coveting and hoarding, and thought it's time to use it. And so you're going to see some little Tim Holtz cards. I did some faux sewing, although this is real sewing around the edge, to make these look like they were there when I did the sewing. I did sew the edge before I glued it down. The nice thing about junk journals is, if anything in a junk journal, such as mine or any junk journal you may happen to purchase from anyone or receive from anyone else, the cool thing about them is, if you don't like these here, take them off. Collage over. If there's any torn paper there, have fun doing a little collage. Change it up, make it your own. That's just the really neat thing about junk journals. Now this picture, I just imagined maybe it was Harry's daughter or Harry's son, and they're traveling, and that's who the book passed on to. This actually comes out and can be journaled on the back. So it's just a photo out of a book. It's a borrowed black and white photo. I'll put that back in later. And then it was bending here. The paper of the book was not very good quality, so I used very little of it in the book. But for this fold, I used some faux cellophane tape. Let's come back out again. I made some faux cellophane tape to strengthen the fold that's there. And here's where you'll see that it was actually published in 1884. So, and the original first page. I had some fun. Again, you'll see 1884 written over here. And I had some fun with the coffee dyeing thanks to an inspirational video I watched. I gave her kudos and references in the previous video because her name is slipping my mind right now. So please look in my previous video and you'll find out who taught me how to do this little way of coffee dyeing. I used coffee, but you can do it with tea around the edge of some of these. And then for each signature, as I said, there are 5 signatures. I put whale tail tabs at the top with numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So I put them across the top instead of typically out the side. That way I could still have fun putting things out the side. It's not an overly lacy book, but there is some lace and some ribbons. I couldn't resist. Here's a tuck spot that I made. This is actually out of the the book on the Canadian Tax Law Act for 1948. So I made one of those foldables, almost like an origami tuck spot, and filled it with some little things here and there. A collage bookmark is there. I used lots of ledger paper since it's an accounting book. Steno paper, things that you'd find in an office. This is from a book, business book that I found out in Prince Edward County, Ontario, and that number actually was from the book. I didn't have to put a faux number up there. This is from a grammar book from 1879, and wherever possible I write in pencil very tiny down below the year of the paper that the folio came out of, and you can erase that if you don't like it. Again, more ledger type paper. I made a little envelope out of an atlas and sewed it into the center of this signature, and then I've just got a folded up bridge sheet from a bridge tally there. And some sewing along there. I knot everything, so if you're not the kind of person who likes loose threads in your journals, trim them down. They're already knotted and tied off. I did a bit of stamping on the pages that needed lengthening. So this is also out of the actual text block. This little, oh, now it doesn't, there we go. This is one of my favorite kinds of movable tabs that you can put wherever you like. So on one side is an H and an R on the other side. So it's a stencil, and if you look inside, I put photos on the insides of the lettering, and then it just goes on. I purposefully glued it so it goes on crooked so that the little corner sticks out the side, and it easily holds paper. It was holding this, but I took it off. So I did HR for Harry Rice, or maybe, you know, daughter Harriet Rice. You never know with these mystery books. And again, so here we are in the second signature with the special detailing in the I think I did a blend of coffee and tea when I made these papers. For some reason that's ringing a bell with me, but I did these myself. And I did an HR with the stencil before I made the tab. I wanted this kind of grungy looking, and I thought, well, let's make it grungy by actually using it. So I put that there. A little bit of Beatrix Potter, since she's already on the front of the inside of the front cover anyhow. And then a few little off-size papers. This paper is nice because it's actually got pieces of leaves and grass in the fibers of the paper. This is from a 1954 children's mathematics book. which is kind of fun. An old photograph that I made to also be a tuck spot, and of course a Two Nanas bookmark has to go into the journal. And a little flip out. This ledger paper was too long. I decided to just raid some of my boxes after cleaning my room the other week. I found things that I'd forgotten I had, and I thought, why am I hanging on to this? Let's get using them. Here's a genuine old photo. I loved when you received your photos like this, with the edging on it, and she's holding their new little bundle of joy, whoever she happens to be. So she's right there. Let's stick her up top so we can see her. So lots of places. These pages such as this, if you're new to this sort of thing, can be turned into a journaling page. Say you don't want to collage on this page. You can easily turn it into a journaling page by taking lined paper and simply gluing it down over top of that, and then you have given yourself more journaling space if you're a journal writer. This is from a 1929 pamphlet that I had. It's a large booklet type pamphlet for the LaSalle University of Accounting in Chicago, Illinois. And it was from 1929, and these gentlemen were on the board of directors, all these CPAs. There wasn't a woman amongst them. So I can't leave tuck spots empty. This little tab sticking out the side, Nancy gave me both things, the little pieces of lace and the little gold flower bead. I sewed the lace, I folded it in half because it was square, and then I sewed the little flower on top of it, and I left, again, the threads are long, so trim them off if they're not for you. We're now in signature 3. Again, you'll see lots of room for you. I didn't take it all up. I liked this thank you card, found it recently when I was thrifting because of the quill and ink and the writing paper. It's blank. It's one of those folded ones from back in the day. And if you want, you can take a knife and slice, an X-Acto knife, slice down the top, and that gives you extra journaling spots. Or you can take glue and glue it down the edge there and make yourself a pocket. And then this is a tag that I made so that it's like a folio. So there will be one that will be coming to on the other side. I liked the alphabet writing on this one, and again, it's from the original text block. You'll see it, they wrote it at the top of each page, so you'll know the ones that were actually from this book. There should be one in every single signature. This page is also from 1879. This is from a booklet that was on the King's reign, and this is actually Queen Elizabeth's grandfather, all about his reign from beginning to end. So this handsome gentleman, it says the Duke of York, that's actually Queen Elizabeth's father, because he came to become king. His older brother David was the Prince of Wales and became king when this father died, and then he abdicated, and that is how King George came to be. And so instead of being Prince of Wales to ascend to the throne, he was the Duke of York then. So here I just, again, I had leftovers from when I made the envelope, so I thought I'll make a tuck spot out of it because that's France and it was pretty, and this was also on the page, so I made use of it and made a little tab. There's a little close-up map of the city of Paris, and then this is a faux postcard that I created. I actually have this postcard, but I don't have a lot of them, and I really loved how beautiful it was. So because it was so old, I was able to scan it because it's royalty free now. And since it's French and says Bonne Fête, I put it in with the French tuck spot. And I did a little bit of stamping down here successfully. Shocked me. There's the other side of that sort of luggage tag. Here's the other side of that thank you card. I already turned it into a pocket for you. And then there's a genuine calling card in there that was a gift from Happy Mail. And on the back it's signed Agnes. So who knows the mystery that is there? That says Fred Shaver. It's very pretty. I like the peachy color. So I just tucked that in there. I can't leave pockets empty. Now we're on signature number 4. It's kind of fun when the whale tail tabs are at the top of a book. This is from a book that's full of these bugs and butterflies and moths and such that I have. I had fun just collaging on this. This was out of a notebook. It was a divider from a notebook, and I just love when there's holes at the top of things. And then again, using up leftover things from cleaning my room, I just thought, okay, let's make an unusual collage. And again, using, this is actual ephemera. This is a genuine old ticket, I believe. And I think that was in my meatball box that Nancy sent to me. And there's a bit of sari silk there, and I sewed it down there, and there's a little Tim Holtz, and this is the same fabric that I used to create the text block, and this is also out of a book I have of little bits of old vintage photos of things that you can fussy cut and glue in. And then I've put a pretty dangle bead that was an earring, but I put it on a bulb pin, and then there's a little bit of ribbon tied onto this. This was actually a large file cabinet divider, and that's what was left of it. I love using this strong card for various things in making junk journals. On this side of it, I glued in a glassine envelope that was sent to me from Camille, and just tucked in a United Brotherhood Carpenters and Joiners of America. Maybe Harry had to make use with them for running his business here in town. And then I just thought that was interesting. Cut it out of a book, but I covered the back so that it can be journaled on. And maybe that's them, maybe that's their parents. Who knows? But I like that you can see it through the envelope, and I glued the envelope on both sides there. This is from a book I have from 1897, Rules on Etiquette. So this is from a 1950s stamp collector's book. Oh, here on this page, I like it because you can see where Harry was writing himself, doing calculations and writing himself notes. So he was obviously looking things up and adding things up and doing more math than I could ever hope to do. And here's where you can be writing your own entries into this journal. This was from a book on Ireland, and I just, when I saw it in with cleaning up my room, I just thought, wouldn't that make an interesting tuck spot? Look at all the hats. Everyone wore hats. And then this is from an old Pitman shorthand practicing book that I found. Unfortunately, had no date in it. But you can tell that that's from a fountain pen, the ink from the person who was practicing. I just thought that was interesting. You could still take shorthand when I was in high school. Kind of wish I did. It would be cool, feel like a secret code. My friend took it because her dream was to be a secretary when she finished high school, and she achieved it. And you know what? She's still working at it, and she loves it. She's the head admin for a company down in Myrtle Beach now. Again, I just did some layering with the fun holes. This is from an old typing manual, this page. I thought that photo out of a book, a borrowed ancestor, I thought that had just 1,000 mysteries behind the expression on her face, hence the word snippet that I chose. And then on the inside, again, here are ways that you can make journaling spots, but still give honor to what the page was. You can see through it. This is pressed coffee filters from making coffee in the morning from the Drip coffee maker. And then I left this one blank for the new owner to just have fun and do as they wish with this, so that you can still see it's from a typing textbook, and there's room here for journaling, and on this side. Here, there's a rusty paper clip with a little bit of lace, and then what it does, it's holding this in place. There's journaling all along there, room for journaling. And if you wanted to, you could glue more journaling paper onto there. So I just put this here to hold it down, although I don't like it covering her up because I think she's lovely. So let's move that over there. There we go. I love that little glove. That's from one of those books that you can get with all the Victorian scrap that you can fussy cut. I was lucky enough to find a whole one at my thrift store one day. Signature number 5. And I made a tuck spot here using the half, when you cut a butterfly in half and make it into a tab sticking out. The person I've seen that do this most often is Nick the Booksmith, so I'm going to give her credit for it. Whether she learned it from someone else, I do not know, but she's certainly the person I learned this pretty little thing from. And then this cigarette card, again, I believe came out of my meatball box from Nancy. And then I just put some tea-dyed paper in there to remind you that it's a tuck spot. There's some more writing and adding and subtracting from Harry there, and getting his pen going here. And this is from an actual ledger book from the 1940s, I believe. Yeah, 1946. This was in the book. I don't know who it is. I even tried doing a reverse photo or image search on Google because I thought maybe he was someone famous. But I don't know who he is, so I thought he needs to stay in the book. And he was obviously held in the book by a rusty paper clip, so I made a rusty paper clip and I put it right where it was. And so he's going with the book. Maybe it's Harry. Don't know. Just made a little tuck spot here with a picture of a lady that, again, found it. It's amazing the things you discover when you clean your room. And a little journaling card from reading my Tim Holtz and finally being willing to part with it. I made another little tuck spot from the Tax Act. and I thought maybe this is Harry and Harriet, or I don't know, I've been imagining that that's their names. And I've just put various little things in it to show you that it will hold at least six different things in it. And it's been sewn around the edge. Again, trim the threads if you're not a long thread kind of person. On this one, with all the rings, I thought maybe they were getting engaged, so these are just held on with the paper clip. I'm not going to take them off because then I'll have to put them back on again. So you can glue them wherever you like in the book. A little piece of ribbon and a rusty paper clip and a little happy picture of the newlyweds there. Now, here's an example of how, when I say I'm not a very good stamper, it's the truth. Where it says 998 on here, it's actually supposed to say number 866. I stamped it in upside down. But I guess that's what makes journals like this unique. And again, the other side of that ledger, accounting ledger from 1940s. And then this is the original, these are the original back pages from the original text block. And then I just had tons of fun with the end page, the back end page. I made a tuck spot with an old library catalog card. So I just put that in there, and I collaged, and I used washi tape, which I have to remind myself to get into the washi tape. And I believe Kelly told me that this is moving tape, this red tape. So to balance out the reds, to have them in threes. And then there's that red ink that got spilled. I left that up there, and I did a little stamping along there and left that for whatever the new owner wishes to tuck into there, and left this free. There's some more of that ink. I just love that sort of thing. And then on the back is my signature and 2024 there. So thanks for joining me for this flip through. This journal will be available in my Etsy shop later today, most likely around 5:30. I'll confirm the time for sure down below in the comments. It all depends on when I finish setting up the listing for Etsy. I find that the setting up the listing takes longer than recording a flip through. So anyhow, I do hope you enjoyed this flip through today. I thoroughly enjoyed creating this journal from this very old, beautiful book, and full of genuine, old, beautiful things. And yeah, I hope you're doing well and have a great rest of your day. And take a moment to comment and click on like if you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.